So ride! Ride back to school!
This video is a guide on establishing a stable biorhythm reliably fast. If your sleep pattern is predictable, healthy, sustainable, and fully under your control, it provides a good platform for daily schedule so you can live longer and achieve important goals in life. The techniques in this video work for snoozers, hard cases, and also the unemployed. Follow the steps in this video and apply the bounty of little hacks we provide along the way to win. It's a matter of organization and not willpower, especially in the morning when willpower is scarce. The video gets technical, so pause the video if you need to, and grab a pen and paper to take notes. You want to formulate a sleep-wake cycle you can agree with. Decide how many hours of sleep you want and when you're going to get them every day. So, how to identify your ideal biorhythm? Sleep occurs in 90-minute cycles when undisturbed. If you're doing all your sleeping in one chunk, make it 6 or 7.5 hours plus 30 minutes of shallow sleep at the end, and add 15 minutes at the start to fall asleep. If you count in a bathroom break at night, you reach about 8 hours of sleep at night. Waking up at the end of a cycle means feeling rested, while waking up in the middle means feeling groggy. The healthiest people sleep about 6 hours every day, but some people need more sleep. If you have quality sleep, you will need less. Just know that you can't make up for lost sleep. It causes something like permanent brain damage. So get your sleep on time. Set up multiple waking and sleeping alarms and alarms during the day to keep you on schedule. I might make a video on daily schedules later, or it will be included in a video on how to work deeply. Alarms have to be snooze resistant. That means they are far from the bed and require several steps or even putting on some clothes to get to. Outside the room is great. Use different locations, so you have to walk around turning alarms off. Ideally, have alarms in the place where you start your day. At the laptop, in a book you're reading, in the bathroom, or next to the coffee machine, or where you keep your daily schedule or to-do list. The nasty habit of bringing your phone into bed and sleeping while silencing backup alarms as they pop up must be prevented. Use a mechanical measure such as tying the phone with a rope or tape it down so you can shut it off but can't move it. As long as the knot takes a while to undo, this extra time spent doing fine handiwork will help sober you up. For hardcore snoozers, there's a tip. If you shut off all alarms before going back to sleep, set so many backups it will be annoying to shut them all off. Don't overthink it. Set 2 per minute. The point of alarms is to get you toward your morning activity. You need to break the will of the sleepy animal part of your mind, as it realizes that you are hell-bent on waking up on time. Your sleeping alarm should be a few minutes before your actual sleep time. At the bare minimum, you need to perform the setup necessary for you to stay awake the next morning. Synchronize morning alarms on different devices down to a second to transition to a new way of waking up. In the morning, the first alarm that goes off is my phone in the next room. Then my wristwatch and the computer alarm software turns on my laptop and opens a web page automatically. If you can buy a light on AliExpress that slowly turns brighter over like 20 minutes or so, I heard that that is an ideal way to wake up while the slow process burns away any grogginess, so you wake up full of energy. Certain songs start off easy and then increase in volume. This includes certain generic smartphone sounds such as the digital alarm clock sound or ocean waves. This strategy is usually ideal. You can also rip a speech of Jocko Willink, Goggins, Jordan Peterson, Till Swan, or some other person who pumps you with positive energy off of YouTube and plop them into your phone as an alarm. Jocko has a collection of short audios titled Psychological Warfare, which includes a 10-second countdown, workout motivation, and snooze scolding. But it has a drawback. It is not NLP correct, which means he says things like, I know you want to stay in the warm, comfortable bed. I'm telling you no, do not. You will feel groggy, you will feel like a loser. Which is honestly the last thing you want your soft, suggestible mind to hear in the heat of the morning battle. Your subconscious also doesn't get negative commands, so saying don't stay in bed achieves the stay in bed effect. You can record your own version of this simply with your default smartphone. When you want the extra cortisol, you can grab some explosive music from Mick Gordon or Andrew Hulsholt or your favorite metal. It may give you some jitters in the morning, and it might even make you angry or give you an uneasy feeling if you think about the frantic scramble that awaits you in the morning. But it's good if you are a very heavy sleeper or your alarm is very far away. If loud enough, soft music is great when you're having a good morning and are used to the biorhythm. It limits the cortisol and doesn't feel as stressful. God's theme from Berserk is a unique gem piece of ambiental ballad with a strange, gentle vigor. On a bad day, you might be tempted to wait in bed until it goes away, but this can be fixed with a good backup. For the hard cases, embarrassing alarms will get you out of bed before anyone realizes what that awkward sound was, hopefully. You can also go for generic or funny sounds or whatever gets you up and after it. I use the Doom 2016 Praetor sound soundtrack and it just works. And I keep the more punishing tracks for my backup alarms. If you're going to do all your sleep in one chunk, like most people, it's okay to copy my alarms and just adapt your times. I have 3 alarms to wake me up in the morning, 1 alarm for workout, then 1 to start working. The daily work alarms, of course, can be adapted to only chime on days you actually work. I have another alarm for a short workout in the evening and 1 for evening routine. Then there are the sleep alarms. The sleep backups have to be shut down last thing before going to sleep so they don't wake you up in the middle of your sleep and mess up with your cycles. Turn them off too early, however, and you may end up procrastinating without the alarms to remind you to go to bed. It's still good to keep your phone away from yourself if you can when working or doing something else, particularly in the evening. I get about 7.5 hours of sleep every night, and I catch a nap or sleep in every 3 to 5 days. At my worst, I found myself turning off all the alarms and then going back to sleep, but the aforementioned rope and duct tape countermeasures helped fix that. If you have a pleasant morning activity, this should not be a recurring problem, especially if you've gotten enough sleep. Waking up in the morning isn't all sunshine and daisies. You might be groggy, dumpy, or hangry. The easy, seductive morning routine is the trump card of my approach, which negates harmful activity in the evening and makes starting the day compelling. Your goal is to stabilize your mood and achieve the state where you will no longer be compelled to go back to bed to sleep in. You need a reason to wake up, an activity that is meaningful enough, but first and foremost pleasant, and takes a precious little while. For that, you will use the habits that kept you up at night, or something even more pleasant that you already do or used to do during the day. This is what you will be doing first thing in the morning instead of during your sleep time. It's very useful to turn on the light first thing in the morning. A dose of strong light will help you clear your head and put another thing between you and undue sleep. If you find yourself a bit smelly in the morning, but find it a waste of time to have a full shower before exercise, take a pirate bath. Just soak and wipe your armpits. If you use cold water, this will also wake you up, but will be tolerable. If you put on clothes, make your bed, open window shutters, turn on the lights or leave the room, you will have all but prevented going back to sleep. In my case, making my bed means folding up all the bedcloth, so it makes going back to bed much less comfortable as I sleep on a couch anyway. If you do something short, like brushing your teeth or getting mail, follow it up with the next activity and keep it interesting. The morning activity is the kingpin holding the biorhythm in place. Forget the cold showers, hustling, zen and working out in the cold mornings. Sure, that makes you feel good afterwards, and meditating and reading is a great way to start a productive day, but it rarely makes you jump out of bed with anticipation. Now you're looking for less beneficial, pleasant indulgences. Lots of dopamine from external activities is bad for productivity and even for the mental and physical health. But in this case, it is very useful, far more useful than doing it at night when you should be sleeping. An easy way to get that rare strategic edge over your monkey mind is to simply offload whatever pleasant indulgence keeps you awake at night and make it so it keeps you awake in the morning. But in some cases, this is something like scrolling meaningless content on your smartphone. This is virtually scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of quality, and it's often not all that pleasant. In that case, something more engaging is better. What are the procrastinating activities that keep you awake? The things that when they grab hold of you, you just can't resist. Maybe it's reading blog posts or a book, watching a certain type of YouTube videos, addictions like playing video games, pornography, or even unhealthy habits like snacks and smoking. If you want to chat with your boyfriend on the phone, throw in some goodies for backup as well, such as a cereal or protein bar, some pistachios, or a piece of fruit. This or a coffee is something that raises your dopamine no matter what. You can still say no to the extras if, like myself, you're not a breakfast person or you don't need it. Give yourself an alarm for when it's time to quit the pleasant activity that woke you up and move on to something like breakfast, exercise, or work. Make backup alarms for that if necessary. Large dopamine shots or systems that constantly engage your dopamine system with little rewards, such as video games and algorithmic feeds designed to get clicks, like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube recommended, will negatively affect your motivation for productive work. So don't give yourself an unnecessarily large dose of dopamine, choose the lightest thing that works. For some, tuning in to a nice podcast or motivational video on YouTube while making salad is going to work. A piece of chocolate while watching Netflix is fine. Coffee and cigarettes also, if you're a regular smoker, and fapping if you can't resist. If a shot of gin and a line of coke is what is required to wake you up, it's probably better to just stay asleep. The high dopamine hook activity should not fuel any addictions. Once you've tamed your sleep pattern, you want to gradually transition to being more and more productive first thing in the morning. So every few days, first thing in the morning activity gets slightly faster, better, healthier, or more productive. You may want your own habit tier list to progress through from high dopamine and low usefulness to low dopamine and high usefulness, and you want it constructed beforehand. Think about what an ideal morning is for you and aim for that. Yoga is great, but it's inevitable that a refrigerated blueberry milkshake will look a lot sexier in the morning. Look up habit tier lists on YouTube if necessary, but it's best to get creative. One way to avoid getting stuck on doing one thing is to always switch between high dopamine activities. Video games one morning, coffee the next morning, watching a show the third morning, and then move on to a book. It takes more planning, but if you're like me and you need to finish a video game campaign or a manga series, better to keep it just as casual as possible. Another useful strategy is to constantly have more options at hand so you can switch activities. So if you're watching videos on your computer every morning, ready a good book and a study table lamp in case you are ready to switch up in the morning. Or start reading a book while encountering loading screens in game or waiting for the computer to boot. You can also start multitasking. If you are playing video games, you can put on gym clothes so you can start working out after some minutes. But something that I did that was genius was to just exercise, so to run in place while watching a very long anime series. I used a Tabata timer on Android to conduct a high intensity interval training, so podcasts and YouTube videos also go along well with working out. This way you can slowly transition every week or so until you become so productive you're done with work, your workout, eating breakfast and showering before the time you even used to wake up and before most people start their day. The feeling of accomplishment you can get from this is something you just have to experience for yourself. You should stay away from sitting meditation in the morning if you are prone to falling asleep. Needless to say, napping after waking up counts as cheating. If you've been watching 2 episodes of Netflix and you want to switch to the next habit, try 1 episode of Netflix, time the alarm for when it ends and pick up a book afterward. Or even read a book first, then top it off with Netflix if you don't feel like reading further. Your morning routine actually starts with the evening preparations. Performing the setup in the evening is the key step that ensures victory in the morning. If the preparations are extensive, set an alarm, then quit whatever you were doing to make physical preparations. If it's preparing tomorrow's breakfast, setting out clothes, charging the MP3 player, commit to doing all of this before the sleep alarm goes off. The setup should be easy enough, but you can go through a checklist if you are trying to really utilize everything. There should be some time left at the end of setting up. Pick a before sleep activity that doesn't mess up your plans and the gear you've already laid out and set up for the next morning. Thus, your morning routine regulates your evening routine and you are starting to close the upward spiral of productivity. After the setup, you may reward yourself with fun until sleep time. Although, if you can resist the urge and just go to sleep or reward yourself upon waking up in the morning, not only will you not regret it, in the long run, you will reap great benefits. Your morning routine actually starts with the evening preparations. Performing the setup in the evening is the key step that ensures victory in the morning. If the preparations are extensive, set an alarm, then quit whatever you were doing to make physical preparations. If it's preparing tomorrow's breakfast, setting out clothes, charging the MP3 player, commit to doing all of this before the sleep alarm goes off. The setup should be easy enough, but you can go through a checklist if you are trying to really utilize everything. There should be some time left at the end of setting up. Pick a before sleep activity that doesn't mess up your plans and the gear you've already laid out and set up for the next morning. Thus, your morning routine regulates your evening routine and you are starting to close the upward spiral of productivity. After the setup, you may reward yourself with fun until sleep time. Although, if you can resist the urge and just go to sleep or reward yourself upon waking up in the morning, not only will you not regret it, in the long run, you will reap great benefits. You will inevitably have some trouble and fluctuations in your biorhythm. For example, I need to catch a few hours of extra sleep about once a week on average. Sometimes I just sleep poorly or fail to go to sleep on time. Instead of looking at naps as cheating or signs that something is wrong, embrace them and add this healthy and useful habit to the toolbox of wake-me-ups, along with splashing water in your face, doing a few burpees, stretching, calling a friend or family, or taking a short walk. Naps will offset the negative effects of poor sleep and adapting to a new rhythm. Nap during the day when you feel sleepy or unfocused. The science of 90-minute sleep cycles implies that 20 to 30 minutes should be the maximum to prevent you from falling into deep sleep and waking up groggy in the middle of a sleep cycle. Then again, if you need the full 90 to 120 minute cycle and you have the time, you can go for it. So, weathering perturbations and setbacks. For sex, if you're having sex all night, you can try to maybe reschedule it, but catching naps before and after is probably the most viable option. The best is if you can use sex as a high dopamine morning activity. And if you later switch to some other activity, just make sure that you don't slack off on your bedroom duties. For cuddling, few things are as irresistible as a warm morning embrace from a sleeping girl. You have to stay away from your partner or put a plush toy or pillow in their cuddly grabbies so they let you go. You can also give them a morning massage as long as you keep active and stay awake, and then progress to another activity. For visitors, if you have some visitors that you can't say no to, at least be straight with them that they are impinging on your sleep. If they refuse to accept your sleeping needs, you should treat them the way they treat you. Give them a call as soon as you wake up for a nice little morning chat, or even ring their doorbell during your morning stroll. And if they ignore your attempts to reach out, ignore theirs whenever they don't suit your sleep schedule. Just turn off your phone when sleeping. Or alternatively, you can just put on your pajamas, give your visitors a goodnight hug and go to bed, as long as they know where the door is. For trips, depending on the type of trip, you may have to adjust your biorhythm, but you can still be ruthless about it and opt for a new regimen with a new setup. I've held steady to a biorhythm of going to sleep at 5 in the morning and waking up at 12:30 during a 2-week party holiday. However, the sleep quality drops due to daylight and I've seen the sleep time drift into the afternoon, which is quite demoralizing. So stay alert and keep it tight. For emergencies, there's not much you can do when important things cut right in the middle of your sleep time. It's just life. Man up and do what needs to be done. Try to nap if and when you can, but whatever is more important than your sleep is worth adapting your sleeping schedule to, at least for the day. Do your best to take care of your digestion and avoid emergencies. For parties and special events, If you master the discipline and get a large nap before an event and a generous nap right afterward, you can probably thank a Friday to Saturday all-nighter. Beware of the hangover. This is definitely not an every week technique, and trying to get your biorhythm in order while partying over weekends, but not on weekdays, is like trying to cure diabetes while binge eating cupcakes and macaroni every Tuesday and Thursday. Good luck! Here's a tip: learn to party without alcohol. Drinking alcohol kills neurons, ages your brain, and increases your odds for Alzheimer's. Alcohol induced brain damage used to be a well known fact, but nowadays the teens don't know much about it. For procrastination, if you constantly find yourself indulging during sleep time, do these two things. Make the habit as inconvenient or impossible as you can, and prepare something else that's easy to do, such as keeping a book easily accessible. Best is to set up the procrastinating activities for the next morning. So, with your sleep fixed, you've got the procrastination in your day surrounded, and you can start chipping away at it from the morning and evening side. As long as you apply these techniques aggressively and learn from experience, you will never worry about fixing your biorhythm again. I snoozed today, but if I napped yesterday, I could have avoided that. Instead, I overworked myself. So guys, please like, post questions in the comments, and subscribe for more no bullshit content, and click the notification bell. Most importantly, share to help us get the content to the people who need it. Remember, getting better on your own is hard. Check the description for a link to my coaching services.